Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening. Fade to Black. That's right. It's Thursday, July 13th, 2023. And tonight, our guest, Robert Clotworthy. And my voice has got to be on its game tonight. Robert Clotworthy is with us. I want you to help support the show and our hard work here and get your Fade to Black t-shirts. The links are below. There's two ways to get them. The links are below. Head over to the website, get yourself a t-shirt, free shipping, all that stuff. All right, tonight it is Robert Clotworthy. He is the voice. That's what I've called the show tonight. He's the voice of History Channel's Ancient Aliens. We know that. The Curse of Oak Island. We know that too. And also The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. And of course, his role as Jim Raynor in the StarCraft video game series. Tonight, we're going to talk about being on time and maybe an Emmy nomination. All of that much more. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black our good friend. There he is right there, Robert Clotworthy. Robert,
yes.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. You know, the nominations were announced yesterday, and guess who didn't make the short list?
You didn't get your nomination.
Yeah, Bitter Party of One. Bitter Party of One.
Do you remember the movie For Your Consideration?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Right. Staying up all night. Right?
I even remember there was a film called, I think it was called Oscar, and there was a guy who was just like desperate to get a nomination or win the Oscar, and the last shot of him is he's at the award ceremony and he loses, and it's just this pathetic of him trying to like applaud even though his life has gone to hell. So, but you know, listen, it is what it is. It's a long shot. You know, they nominated people like, come on, Morgan Freeman, as if he's done anything.
I know,
Angela
right?
Bassett. What are they thinking? And Barack Obama, please, come on.
Weak
competition.
Weak. Well, here's I'm going to ask you a question. Hopefully, you've never been asked before.
Okay,
but how many?
5'11".
How many? Yeah, exactly. You know what I did? New Year's Eve, I fly to Florida for a New Year's Eve party.
Okay.
And Billy Carson and Lisa Leslie is there, the basketball player, right?
Yes.
So she, you know, and she's right.
She's tall.
And I go, Lisa, I'm going to ask you a question. She goes, 6'8". Oh man. All right. So anyway, how many voicemail messages have you done for friends?
For friends, I think 0. But for people that you know, throw a few dollars my way, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Or yeah. So for friends, it's, you know, that's interesting. I don't think any friend has ever said, "Would you do a voicemail for me?" That's kind of fascinating. Now I'm kind of ticked off.
Well, you're going to be at our event in November, part of the Ancient Aliens panel.
Yes.
Very excited about that.
So the reason you're sending me there is so that I can do voicemails?
That's it. That's it.
I'll be at a table. I'll be at a table that says Robert Clotworthy voicemail.
You could have a little Stripe scanner on your phone.
That's it.
And, a little PayPal thing. Do you listen to yourself? Do you go back, and you've done so much, right? But do you go back? Is it nails on a chalkboard? Do you go back?
It's interesting because you know, I've been doing this, you know, professionally acting since I was a teenager. I was in high school, 15 years old. And with YouTube now, with the internet, you can find everything. And I thought, you know what? I remember doing an episode of Policewoman with Angie Dickinson, and so I looked it up, and the episode is there. I was able to watch myself at 16 or 17 years old do a thing. So yeah, every once in a while I'll check in. As far as voice is concerned, no, it's not like fingernails on a chalkboard. I've gotten beyond the point of where everything is just irritating. That sounds are different when I hear it as opposed to through my skull when it's out there in the world. I kind of accept it, and especially since when I go down to the studio, there was a time there for many years where not only was I recording the episode, but they were cutting other episodes while I was there. So wherever I would walk in the studio, I would hear my voice coming out of just about every single room. So you have to kind of get over yourself. And I will check in every once in a while, watch a show, A, because the shows are interesting, and B, because I want to kind of touch base with where I'm at to make sure that what I think I'm doing in the studio is coming through on the show. So I'm able to separate myself a little bit and critically look at it. And sometimes, even with Ancient Aliens, I'll watch a show and I'll get lost in it. I'll just enjoy watching it. I forget that it's me, and I'm just intrigued by what it is that they're bringing up. Because when I go into the studio, I don't get to see all the conversations that the theorists are having, or when they're going to and doing field pieces. I just do my stuff, and they just cut it into everything that's already there. So I do like to watch the show just to see what the information is.
Do you prefer direction, or at this point, are you on autopilot?
Well, it's both. I do like direction. I like strong direction. If somebody has a strong opinion, I'm willing to go there. I really like that. I know that when I first worked with Kevin Burns, the late Kevin Burns, who created Ancient Aliens and all these shows, I worked with him on a documentary on the making of the Star Wars trilogy, the first 3 films, and he was very determined, very specific about what he wanted. And for me, it just kind of helps me. I kind of get. I don't want to say I get pissed off, but I get that that competitive streak comes out. I was like, okay, that's what you want. I can give that to you. I'll give you even more. So it kind of encourages me to kind of push it a little bit. Now with Ancient Aliens, there is a certain amount of autopilot because it's working. We're not going to go and blow it up just because we want to try something different. It's working so well. And I also, when I watch the show, I can understand why people resonate to the way that I tell the story. It makes sense to me. I think it's a perfect match. And so in that case, when we do have direction, it's usually minor stuff, little nuanced stuff. Here, emphasize this a little bit more. We make sure that we understand this part of it. But we get through a session pretty quickly. I'm really good about taking the words off the page. I don't get the script ahead of time. I don't need to see it ahead of time. I show up in the studio, they hand it to me. I look at it, I see the title, I go, oh, this is cool.
And you must
open it up
have,
and just go.
you must have, I'm sure, and you're going to love the question too.
Okay.
You must by now have writers and producers that write in your voice. Right. So you're able to just flow through the page and you're not tripping up on stuff.
Yeah.
It probably was early on, not so much, but now I'm sure that it's written in your voice.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Max Thompson, who does I think basically every single episode of Ancient Aliens, it's funny every once in a while. Well, you would know this. We used to do temp tracks. You would go in and it wasn't like the final script, but it was close to it. And you would do a temp. And that was just something that the producers could look at, the network could look at, make their notes, and then you'd go back in and do the final session. And when Kevin Burns was alive, he didn't want to hear anybody else's voice but mine. He didn't want to hear it on anybody else on a temp. And so I would go in and I do the temp and then come back and do the show for real. But now they have somebody else, I think it's usually Max, who will do the temp track before I go in to do the final. And it's interesting to hear him kind of try to do me a little bit.
Right. Oh, I would love that gig.
And, and I also get a lot of fans of people that contact me and say, you know what, we speak in your voice all the time around the house.
Let me ask you. I want to talk about SAG for just a second, but there's a reason why I want to bring this up. The strike. Obviously, you're a card-carrying SAG member. But and the strike went into effect today. Part of what Fran Drescher addressed was the use of AI. All right. So now just follow me on this, Robert. About a month ago, I'm not going to say what, but a high visible TV series was released. And I watched like the first 3 episodes. And the next couple of days, this uproar started. This is about a month ago about the use of AI by the lead actor, right? That it wasn't him. And I was like, no, what? So I go back and I'm following these threads and what's going on in this conversation. And I went to I went back and rewatched, and I went to the specific scenes that were listed. And I said, no, there's no AI there. And then it hit me. Holy crap, it's that good, right? Oh, whoa. There is an issue here.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand Fran Drescher's point with this, because with me, I didn't know. And this is something that the industry has to confront along with the rest of society.
Yeah, I worked on a major film that's coming out in a couple of months. I won't say what it is, but I was in there along with some other voice actors to do some voice acting on it. And one of the things we were doing was these old timey kind of news broadcast kind of stuff, because they were going to use that in the film. And they had a temp, and they played the temp for us. And I listened to it and I thought, why are they having us come in to do this? This is so good. It's so perfect. And then they acknowledged, they said, well, this is AI. This was just something for the temp, but we need to use real actors to come in here to do it, for the film. The AI was just used as a placeholder. But I got to tell you, they told me that, one had a slight British accent. What they did was they just plugged in 1950s, soap commercial, a cigarette ad, all these, whatever these key phrases or terms are, plugged that in, and that's what came out. And it was pretty amazing. Now, one thing that was missing is the interpretation, the real, it sounded like it was an impression of something. Somebody doing a 1950s ad, but those 1950s ads all sounded like they were fake anyway. It didn't sound like a real person was saying, borax detergent. It's like, really, nobody talks that way. But
right.
But that was my first experience with it. And then I had another friend of mine who was on Ancient Aliens, and he came up with I saw him at this Contact in the Desert. And he played for me this AI thing that he's working on, where it was the voice of somebody else. He says, say whatever you want. And you go, okay, A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. And he plays it back, and it comes out in that person's voice with their inflections. It was uncanny. So it is very, very scary.
Now, so what about you? You've done enough episodes of stuff.
Yeah.
Every word that you could possibly have spoken has been recorded, right?
Yeah.
What
they tell me that if they had to, they have enough in the library that they could do the show without me. Sure.
Yeah. Do you lose sleep over that?
Well,
It's a crazy
now I
thought.
am. After you bring it up and you're making such a big deal of it, I don't know if I'll ever sleep again.
Are there
That's why we're on strike.
are there words that do trip you up?
Oh
You,
yeah, of
you get
course.
stuck on?
Oh yeah. I mean, we did. It is a funny story. We did an episode of Ancient Aliens, and it was about Hawaii. And of course, when you start doing Hawaiian words, terms, names, it's very challenging. And for me as an actor, what I don't do is guess at a pronunciation. If a word pops up, even if it's something simple, here's a the other day I had an audition, and the word was Electricity, and a lot of people say electricity, and it's like, no, it's electricity. So I don't assume that I know how to pronounce the word, especially when it's Hawaiian. And it was a challenging episode. I mean, it was really tough. And as a joke, one of the editors at the studio put together a kind of call it a monologue of just only the Hawaiian terms, me saying them, and for like 2 minutes. like I like I was giving a speech in some Hawaiian dialect. But yeah, there's come on, Chinese words. It's Indian, Native American, Cambodian. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that pops up. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my producers, Dennis, he just asked a really good question. Can you copyright your voice? Do you own your voice?
That's a good. I think you can. I think you can. I mean, there are a lot of the contracts that are coming through. I haven't personally seen one uh, for voice actors. They put clauses in there where they want to be able to use your voice in perpetuity. They want to be able to, utilize it. And the union says always saying no, 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 because once you give it away, it's gone. And all they need to do is kind of maybe slightly alter it, and it's out of your control. So this is one of the things that we're really adamant about it as the actors, not just the voice actors, but the on-camera actors as well. I mean, you see these movies where they're able to digitally alter what somebody looks like and de-age them or add age to them. You can bring back stars that are dead, are gone. There'll be a new, Marlon Brando movie coming out next week. It's like, wait a minute, he's gone. How is this possible? It's a little bit scary. Part of the reason why it's so frightening is A, it's new, and B, there's no real control. Everybody's kind of interested in seeing what it can do, as opposed to maybe we need to kind of slow walk this a little bit. We don't want this technology to get ahead of us.
Yeah, I think we are at the point of that realization that maybe it's time to pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, technology is great, but come on, really.
I'm a little nervous about it, and like I said, when I went back and watched that, because I didn't see any of what everybody was referring to in this TV series.
Yeah.
And when I went back and saw it for myself and went, what are they? Is somebody making a mistake here?
Yeah.
And that's when it hit me.
Yeah.
Oh crap! It's that good.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know, and I'm still.
And it's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better. It's only going to. Now, what have you? Let's back up. Let's go back to 2008 for a second.
Okay.
The Kevin Burns. The idea is there. I think the first 3 episodes were like 2 hours each, right?
Yeah.
Or
We
something
started
like
out with one episode, one 2-hour episode about the moon.
right,
It
right.
was a one-off.
At that point, did you have an interest in the subject, or were you learning about all of this as you moved on?
Well, it's twofold. Of course, the topic is fascinating. I'm a curious person, and I had worked with Kevin on quite a few documentaries prior to that, and so when this one came up, and I think it was primarily about the moon. I think that's what the focus of it was, and I find the moon interesting and fascinating anyway. I loved all those science fiction shows as a kid. And here's interesting little tidbit of information: is Kevin and I were basically the same age. He was maybe 2 or 3 months older than I was. So he was watching, he was a big fan of Lost in Space and Time Tunnel and, all those Irwin Allen shows, Boys to the Bottom of the Sea, The Munsters. Batman, he was watching those things at the same age I was. So we had there was an interesting connection that we had in that way. So I understood his fascination with the topic. I was really interested in aliens and outer space and all that. And what's the meaning of life? Are we alone? Or are we being watched? Are we being abducted? So it was a subject matter that intrigued me and I found incredibly curious. So yeah, I was connected in that way. Did I have any inkling that it would turn out to be the way that it's turned out? I mean, no, it's impossible. Giorgio has become a very good friend of mine, Giorgio Tsoukalos, on the show. And he told me that Kevin called him up at one point when the show got picked up, I guess, for a second season or whatever the heck it was. And he told him, he said, Giorgio, this does not happen. This is so rare what's happening here. Be appreciative. We are on a ride that doesn't happen to very many people. And to have a show that's lasted as long as it has, to remain as popular as it has, and to be as relevant as it has been is amazing.
It's rarefied air in Hollywood.
We've done 250, 60 episodes. We're doing, we get picked up for another 20 some odd. I'm doing some compilation shows. So it just keeps going. And these conventions where people come out, it's a subject matter that people are really fascinated. When we first started the show, Kevin would joke after, the studio had ordered 5 or 6 episodes. He joked, he says, I've run out of pyramids. What do you want me to write about? And now, now we have to really kind of we can be very selective as to what it is we want to discuss, because there's so much information and it's coming out every single day. Every single day. They talked about it today. Come on.
A huge write-up in the New York Times, and we'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
In November, I'm going to Peru.
Yeah.
And okay. I am going to Peru because of you when you said those words, Puma Punku.
Puma Punku.
and going back, and I brought this up a lot, Robert. This is not a joke.
Mm-hmm.
The way those original episodes of Ancient Aliens, I thought were made for me, right? And that this is it, right? This was made for me.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, obviously, I'm not the only person that felt that way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to Puma Punku, man. I'm going to Puma Punku. I'm going to H blocks.
That's going to be amazing to actually. There was a woman, this was like 5-6 years ago, who went to Yale, and she was a big fan of the show. And she wrote her doctoral thesis or master's thesis about the importance of not only learning about these artifacts, but to actually touch them. That there's a whole nother experience that you have when you're there with it and you're able to touch the object. And so I envy you for going. That would be something I would love to experience, because to be there and think, look, you can't put a credit card here. These things are too tiny. It's impossible. How did they build this? Why? There's so many questions, so many mysteries. I love mysteries.
The Nazca lines, Eric von Daniken, Chariots of the Gods, of course, Ancient Aliens, but these things are part of our community. Yeah. And Eric, if he hadn't have written that book, and if that documentary hadn't have come out, you and I aren't talking right now.
Yeah, I read his book when I was in junior high school.
Sure.
So I was all into that.
Yeah, I want to ask you another thing. This is for the audience, but Giorgio, and as you know, Giorgio and he's one of our close friends, right? Yeah. And we have a lot of respect for each other. But that guy,
Because he
is
doesn't like you. When I talk to him, I said, "Tell me
I
about
know,
Jim." He says, "Ah,
he's talking smack, wasn't he? He's talking smack. It is that he is cooler than people know. They
oh yeah,
they don't
yeah,
they don't have any idea. Yes, he's got this persona
yeah,
and this thing in the hair. He is one of the nicest, coolest, brightest, smartest,
yeah,
honest people that you can ever meet, and none of this has gone to his head.
yeah." And he knows what it means to be a friend. He's a true friend. He will have your back. He'll fight for you. He'll be open, honest. He'll talk about, the subjects that people don't want to talk about. He's a really, really excellent guy. And you're right, it has not gone to his head. I remember the very first convention that we went to up in Santa Paula, the very first Alien Con, and nobody was prepared for what we encountered when we were up there, especially not him. When he would walk into a room, it was as if one of the Beatles walked in 1964 or something. People were screaming, and he was inundated. He's a I don't want to say a shy guy, but he certainly wasn't prepared for that, and he was really shocked. And I'd had a little bit more of experience just being an actor, being a bit of a ham. And I remember I went up to him once because he was being inundated from all these people, just kind of, and there was no security, and I just kind of helped him kind of wrangle people a little bit to give him a little bit of breathing room. But yeah, he appreciates. He'll tell me oftentimes he'll say, "Isn't this an amazing ride that we're on?" And it's true, because this rarely happens. And him being on the show, Kevin used to joke, the only reason he's on the show was because Kevin thought that Eric Von Daniken was dead.
What?
Yeah, he thought he was dead. So I have a video of Kevin at a convention telling Giorgio on a panel. He's saying, "Yeah, I thought he was dead because when he talked to Giorgio, he said, 'Yeah, but Eric Von Daniken,' and Giorgio was the one that told him, said, 'No, he's alive. He's still alive.'" He says, "He is?" He says, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, if I known he was alive, I wouldn't have hired you. I would have gone directly to him." But so you're lucky.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, the other part of this
Uh-huh.
is that 2008, 2009, boom, things, home run, right? But it wasn't like it is now today. And I'm not talking about ancient aliens. I'm talking about the UFO conversation,
Yeah.
the alien conversation.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's the Pentagon, right?
Yeah.
The White House, the New York Times today, and what is happening. Did you envision any of this? Like, it's one thing to narrate and to do these shows and to ponder and to explore. It's a whole nother thing to have this become part of our reality. Are you surprised by this?
Oh, every time I read an article or see that pop up in the news, two words come to mind: job security. Because it's I can't say that I don't want to say that it's surprising, because we all knew, I think, that there's something more out there that we don't know about. There's got to be something happened. If you have 1,000 events and only one of them is real, well, that one is what's important. It's not the 999 that were wrong. It's the one that's right. So if just one of these UFO stories is correct, then that blows up everything. And now we're finding out that more and more information. What was it? The one senator or congressman the other day said he saw these videos that have not been released to the public, and said, these aliens could turn us into charcoal briquettes if they wanted to. So there's something going on. Even Nick Pope had mentioned to me once. He said there was an official document at the UK where they tried to explain, well, if aliens were to come here, why would they come? And one was exploration, another one was harvesting minerals, and one of the this is it. One of the reasons they came up with as to why aliens might come here is because it's like on a vacation. They're coming here to sightsee. So who the heck
100%.
knows? Yeah.
Right. You know what? I'm going to share this with you because it's Giorgio, but I have said this now hundreds of times.
Yeah.
His quote. All right. So this is years ago on the show, and he goes, "Jimmy, I got to tell you, I'm not going to imitate Giorgio, but I do a pretty damn good Giorgio, by the way."
Okay.
But he says, he goes, "Jimmy, the White House lawn, the saucer comes down, stairs, alien walks out, starts talking, and we find out that we were all wrong." And I was like, that is the most profound, it resonates with what you just said,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you really think about it, and I have used that quote. Now I attribute it to Georgia. I want to steal it, and it's too good.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we're going to find out.
Yeah. And hopefully within our lifetime. I mean, it looks like it's like bursting at the seams. That it's very difficult to hold back the information at this point. It's like you're holding back the tide. There's too much information that's coming out from too many different sources. I was at that Contact in the Desert, and Seth Shostak, he's kind of a curmudgeon when it comes to this. Why would they come here? It takes too long, whatever. But it seems that there's something that's missing. And they are here. I mean, the Earth has been around for what, 5 billion years? We can only go back in time, 100 million years, 200 million years to find the dinosaurs. That's just a drop in the bucket. There could have been multiple versions of humanity that's come and gone over 5 billion years. And even Spielberg, he thought, maybe we are the spawn of aliens. So these questions are important, and they're fascinating, and it looks like the information is slowly coming out.
Isn't it funny that there are still people left that don't ponder, that just go to work, they come home, watch TV, watch the news, eat dinner, go to bed,
maybe they're just on their cell phones and just doing TikTok.
Right. That don't ponder.
My favorite question growing up, and still my favorite question, is why? Why? As a kid, it's irritating, but as an adult, man, I just want to know why. I'm curious. Yeah, you got to ponder. You got to think. We're human beings. That's what we've always done. When you look at the stars, don't you wonder? I was looking at the moon the other day. I was looking at going, somebody was actually there. Humans walked on that moon, and the moon is bizarre. It's fascinating. I find all of that. I was reading an article today that they think this one star may be about to go into supernova, and if it blows up in our lifetime, we're going to see this a light brighter than the moon in our sky. This is fascinating to me. This is interesting.
Let me ask you that. What have you learned? I have done 2,000 shows.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of shows.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
I have everybody on. I'm asking questions. I have a thirst for knowledge. I'm not the same person that I was, 15 years ago.
Right.
You must be in that same position. What have you learned?
Well, first of all, it's interesting because my job as the narrator of the show, I take it very seriously. I understand that I am in voiceover. We have a phrase called a vocal signature, and that's where an agent or a casting director would describe who you are without knowing you. And it could be, he's a pain in the ass. Okay, I'm looking for the voice of somebody that can be a pain in the ass, so I need that. And this one casting director said that my voice was approachable intelligence. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm bright. I could be as dumb as a bag of doorknobs. But I sound like I know what I'm talking about. And the way that I convey it is in a way that's very approachable. It's not intimidating. So I bring you along on the journey, and people tend to feel that it's going to be okay if they go along with me. I had somebody write to me today, said, for 10 years, we listen to your voice and it helps us go to sleep. My kid, my 10-year-old cannot fall asleep unless he's listening to your show, listening
Now,
to your voice.
is that a compliment, though?
Oh, absolute compliment. I mean, take it as a major compliment. And it's funny when I go to these conventions. Usually, it's the women that come up to me and they say, "Don't take this in the wrong way, but we fall asleep to your voice, but in a good way." And I make a joke when I go to the conventions. I say to all those people that on Friday night crawl into bed, turn on Ancient Aliens, and listen to my voice and fall asleep, I say, "Thank you. That's a nice compliment." For the partner of that person that walks in thinking, "Hey, it's Friday night, maybe we'll get some action," and finds their partner asleep, I apologize.
Well, it could be the opposite.
It could be. Well,
She's listening to your voice, and the next thing
and
you know,
it's a turn on.
Yeah.
I have not heard that yet. Nobody's come up to me and said, "Hey, Robert, I want you to meet my kid. I named him after you."
Oh, man.
No.
What's his name?
But-
Clotworthy.
Yeah.
Why?
But I understand that my job is to not, advocate what's on the show or say this is all crap. My job is to kind of walk a little bit of a fine line. But I can certainly say that there's no way being around Giorgio, being around Nick Pope, being around Linda Moulton Howe, being around Dr. Travis Taylor or David Childress or Jonathan Young, that you're not going to pick up some information. And I had one woman contact me, actually came up to me at a convention, and she worked at NASA. I've told this story a couple of times. And she worked at NASA. She was there during the last few Apollo missions and some of the space shuttle missions. And she was a fan of the show. Just wanted an autograph, sign a picture, walking away. And as she's walking away, there was nobody at this convention. It was really quiet. I said, "Excuse me, did anything ever happen at NASA that you want to talk about, but you haven't been able to talk about, and nobody ever asked you?" And she said, "Well, the statute of limitations is," and whatever it was. And she goes, "Yeah, I can tell you a story." And she told me a story, a first-person experience. Now, it's one thing for somebody to say, "Hey, I read about this," or "Somebody told me this." That's third person. This is something that she heard. Her job in mission control, and she was one of those people that was sitting in mission control. So if you watch Apollo 13, you see all those people at the computers. She's one of them. Her job was to monitor the vital signs of the astronauts that were on the mission. I think this was Apollo 16 because they had the moon buggy that they drove around on the moon. That was the one. And Ron Evans was the command module pilot. So he was not the guy that actually went down to the moon. His job was to stay in the command module and, orbit the moon for however many orbits it was, 50 orbits, 60, however, because they were on the moon for a long time. And then, help fly them back to Earth. Well, Ron Evans was a former fighter pilot, okay, flew in Vietnam. This guy was used to combat, used to high stress situations, was not a guy that would easily panic, was pretty cool under fire. And when he comes around the backside of the moon, he's out of radio contact with mission control. And part of what he's supposed to do is he's supposed to check in with the commander of the mission who's actually on the moon. I can't remember who the commander was at that point. Well, he comes around from the backside of the moon and he checks in, and the commander of the mission says, "Hey, Ron, you lonely up there?" as a joke. And Ron says, "I'm not alone." And the people at Mission Control, this was an open frequency, and they switched to another frequency, and they said, "Ron, what are you talking about? Are you joking?" He says, "No." "What's going on?" He says, "Something's following me." They said, "Can you describe it?" The command module is about 17 feet from stem to stern. He said this thing was about 40 feet. Now, he described it as like an Oscar Mayer wiener, because apparently when he would go on a combat mission, the food he would eat for good luck would be Oscar Mayer wieners. And this woman told me, she says the two most common shapes of a UFO is either a cigar-shaped or a triangle-shaped. So this would fit into that cigar-shaped category. He said that it had acrylic markings, some kind of markings on it. He said, it's not American. It's not Russian. I don't know what it is. It followed him in formation for 3.5 orbits around the moon and then flew off. Now, when they landed back on Earth, they land in the ocean. She happened to be on the support ship, and she saw him in one of the staterooms after, they picked him up and he was there by himself. And she said, "Ron, are you okay?" And he just kind of like, did this kind of a thing. And she said, "Are you concerned about the anomaly?" And he looked up at her and he said, "Are you aware of this?" He goes, "Yeah, I was part of the team." And he just said this was something he'd never seen before. He had no idea what it was, where it came from, and it shocked the heck out of him. So when somebody tells you a story, this is what they experienced. That's different than somebody telling you a story about somebody else experienced. And this woman didn't come up to me to tell me this story. Some people come up to you and say, "I got to tell you about whatever." This woman, I had to kind of pull it out of her a little bit. And she actually ended up being on the show and talking about it a little bit, but not in great detail. When you have that kind of an experience, and there's no reason why I should doubt her, it blows your mind. It opens up all kinds of possibilities. And I asked her, I said, what is the attitude at NASA about this? And she said, first of all, they had a meeting after this conversation with Ron Evans. And they said, don't talk to anybody. The reason we don't talk to anybody is because NASA gathers information. That's our job, is to gather information. Then we hand it off to the Brain Trust. We don't want anybody coming up with a theory as to what this is. So just don't talk about it. So she understood that. But she also told me that she would go to parties where you would have astronauts there and they're just, drinking a beer, hanging out, having a barbecue. And they all talk about these weird things that have happened to them in space that they could not explain. So and also Giorgio, I'm sure Giorgio has talked about Neil Armstrong, first man to land on the moon. He didn't want to really talk about it. You'd think that would be the culmination of your career. Imagine, my uncle won a gold medal. He would talk about that gold medal to anybody that wanted to talk about it because he was proud of it. He wanted to share the story so that everybody else could kind of share in the experience. Neil Armstrong didn't want to talk about it anymore. Something happened.
And you and I are the same age. And so when we go back to that era, when those three came back and they did that press conference, the heroes of the world, right?
Oh, yes.
The biggest event in human history just happened.
Yeah.
And they come out and they sit down and they were not happy.
No.
And they were looking around. They fought with each other. They argued whether there were stars in the sky.
Yeah.
Right. And there were you would think, that it would be the exact opposite. Something happened. They were not the same.
I'm glad that we were both alive when that happened, because we remember the world came to a stop.
It did.
Everybody on the planet was fixated on what was happening. It was an amazing moment. And then it came back and ticker tape parades. And I mean, it was an amazing achievement. And you're right. Why? Something happened up there. It changes you. And what that is, this woman said, listen, there's, she's seen photographs showing things that look like radar dishes on the moon. It's like, wait a minute, what? Okay. She heard the ringing of the moon. She goes, oh yeah, I've heard the ringing of the moon. Like, what? Yeah.
Now, last month, since we're on the subject, last month.
By the way, I love the moon. The moon is fascinating to me.
I live here in Palmdale, and you're in the valley, and so you've got light pollution out here.
Yeah.
Man, I walk out in my backyard at night after the show, and I look up at the moon, and it's like it's right here.
Yeah,
it's what a difference between Burbank and Palmdale and the stars and the Milky Way and everything. I've got telescopes, I've got my night vision, and I cannot get enough of that.
Yeah.
But last month, whistleblower David Grush comes comes out and blows the lid off of a lot of things. And I have said there's really two takeaways, Robert. Two. Now he said hundreds of things, but two takeaways. One, we've got flying saucers. Two, we've got bodies on ice. This is pretty significant, and the reaction from Capitol Hill was like, "Wait, what? We don't know what, right?" What do you think ultimately? Chuck Schumer has got legislation going today that was announced that the Pentagon's got 300 days to give up the goods, right? So what do you make of that? Do you think we've got intact flying sauce? I mean, we've always thought about this, but now we've got a whistleblower.
I think so. I've had people come up to me. I had a close friend, and this is, third person. So, who knows, third party information. So who knows whether it's accurate or not. He told me that a friend of his was a test pilot. And not only has he seen these alien craft, he's actually flown it.
What?
He said, my friend actually flew one. Now I talked to another fellow that works at with Homeland Security, and he's very connected with all kinds of government projects. And he told me that he told me a story about a pilot an American, a human pilot that died in one, because the way that these spacecraft function is through kind of like telepathy. It's not like you have a control and you turn the dial and it's got a steering wheel. It's like you have to tell it what to do. It kind of reads your mind a little bit and flies up and do these things. And he lost control and crashed it and died. But I've also had people come up to me and say, I used to work in top secret things, and a lot of the stuff we worked on hasn't even made it to the public yet. I worked on stuff 20 years ago. The technology that we've got, I mean, we're not even the consumers are nowhere near getting that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think there's advanced technology out there that we have. Who knows who else has it? But it can certainly be a game changer. I mean, imagine if there's some kind of like ultimate super weapon or something that can fit into your pocket. And it's just a matter of like flip the switch. Well, you got to, let's make sure that nobody gets a hold of this, because that's too horrible a concept to even consider. So yeah, there's got to be.
All right, I have to ask, how far away are you from your U-87? About a foot?
It's about maybe foot and a half.
Man, it sounds good.
Really? Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. I can't do Clotworthy unless I'm, right on the mic. But man, it sounds good.
Well, when people ask me how I do the Ancient Aliens, I tell them that I put the mic basically at about where your ear would be. So it's like, ancient astronaut theorists say yes. So you kind of get right there to it.
I'm so glad I didn't have to ask you to do that. But I'll tell you something on this subject, not microphones.
And for those people that don't know, U-87, it's not like an alien spacecraft. It's a microphone
shaped like an alien spacecraft.
That's right.
It does have that shape. So I moved to Palmdale, and I'm at one of the big box electronic stores, right, getting a TV or something.
Yeah.
And I'm walking out, got my cart, and I hear somebody from in back of me go, "Fade to black." Right? And I turn around and he goes, "It is you." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I've been listening to the show. I heard you did. You really moved to Palmdale." I said, "Dude, I'm standing in front of you." He goes, "That's the Fade to Black Jeep."
Buy the TV. Come on.
Yeah. It is the Fade to Black Jeep. It's right here. I can't believe it. Yeah. And then he says this, like your lady at NASA. He goes, "Let me tell you something, man. I'm born and raised here in Palmdale. And in the 90s, in high school, we would be outside for recess, and these black octagon-shaped craft were being test flown every day, not making a sound.
Yeah.
I said, "What do you?" I've never heard that kind of description before, right? I said, "How big was it?" He goes, "From here to the store." And I'm going to guess, Robert, and say 70, 80 feet,
Wow.
maybe.
Okay.
And he said these things were all over Skunk Works, being test flown, not making a sound.
Yeah.
And then he said, then they just stopped, and we never saw them again. But that for a year in the 90s, when I was in high school, every day they were flying these things. And I've spoken to a lot of people about this. I've never heard, with black triangles, cigars, saucers, right? Yeah. We've heard, but octagon shaped. Yeah, very strange.
Maybe they were all like World Wrestling Federation fans, the battle.
Could be.
It's all right, like these wrestlers flying them.
What do you make of Skunk Works? Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, what have you? They would be the ones to back engineer these things. And there's a possibility, right? That we could have a craft right down the street here.
I had a guy come up to me at a convention, and he claimed to work in, intelligence, that he was with some friends, or I heard a story, whatever it was, where a guy comes up to him and says, there are three of them. What do I look like? And one fellow says, well, you look like you're, a preppy kind of a guy. And his friend says, what are you talking about? The guy's he's a Hispanic guy. The guy says, what are you talking about? He's an old man. And the guy left. So the point of the story was that maybe not only are they around us, but every time they look different to each and every one of us. So we're not going to see the same thing. That's part of it. So all kinds, with Skunk Works, anything is possible. I mean, come on. There's that there's got to be technology out there that we are completely clueless about, unaware of. Has to be. I mean, what? My cell phone is that's the peak of technology? No way.
Right. And Skunk Works, from where I'm at right now, is about a mile and a half east of me.
Okay.
Right up the road. You just drive straight, and if you're not driving smart, you're going to crash through the hangar doors. It's like right here. And there are, it's not only, it's NASA's out there, Air Force Plant 42, Northrop Grumman, lots of research facilities, ginormous hangars.
Yeah.
There are tens of, everybody in Palmdale works there. That's it. There's no reason for this city to exist. And we have Edwards Air Force Base, of course, right up the street. That's the other Area 51.
Mm-hmm.
There are tens of thousands of cars out there, and you don't see anything. There's nothing on the runways.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
What are they doing?
Yeah, there's no
job.
There's a lot of cars. There's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go further than that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get chased out of town. There's another.
Get Jimmy Church. He knows too much.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I want to respect national security. Yeah. I want to respect people's jobs and what they are doing. If I jumped on the air every night and said, okay, 10 minutes ago, you won't believe, that's not cool. That's not cool. And I'll get run out of town. Yeah. But you're exactly right. It's going on right down the street.
Yeah.
Right now. I don't think Rush is wrong on this.
And honestly, I don't necessarily mind that. I don't want to know everything. I'm tough at keeping a secret. I mean, kidding me? I don't, there are certain things that should be top secret. Absolutely. Take care of us. I just want to go into the studio and do my shows and, have dinner. I don't want to think about that, there's some guy in an octagon that's out to get me in a silent octagon. Now I'm going to be having nightmares about that. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, I know. And the other part about this though, and you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are curious. What does the government know? Is ET visiting us? Do we have crash flying saucers? All right, okay. I think that humanity. This is a universal thing. This isn't something that should. It's been secret long enough.
Yeah.
But there's other stuff. You know what? I don't want to know. I honestly, I don't want to know, and some things should be kept secret.
Yeah. Too much information. Just, it's like some things you just don't want to see. You don't want to think about, your parents having sex. No, you just don't want to go there. Please. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that to me as well. Now, here's the other thing, though, that I've really appreciated about Ancient Aliens. And Von Daniken has so much to do with this, but this isn't an American phenomenon.
No.
Much of what Ancient Aliens has presented over the last, is it 20 seasons, whatever it is now. The numbering is weird, everybody, but I think it is. It's season 18, season 19.
I think the next one will be season 20, but you're right. The seasons don't mean years. It's
not years. It's right. Much of what you guys do is outside of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
I just mentioned Puma Punku. Have you been able to? We're going to hit a break here in 2 minutes. I wanted to ask you this earlier when we were talking about it, but I'm going to do it now. Have you had an opportunity to go to Egypt, to go to Stonehenge, to go to Machu Picchu? Puma Punku.
I have not. Giorgio at one point asked if I wanted to go to join him in Egypt. I probably should have. No, I haven't. I've been very limited. I mean, part of it is, the shows that I'm working on. It's literally, I'm in the studio just about every single week, 52 weeks a year. Knock on wood. So I'm very busy in that regard. But I would love to go. It would be fascinating. It would be fascinating. As long as the craft service is good there.
No, it's not. It's not.
I have a friend who went to Machu Picchu. He says it took it's like hours and hours and hours of climbing up a mountain to get there. And, he was happy to go. But I thought, I take my walk every day for a half hour, but, the land is flat. I don't know that I have flat feet. I don't know that I really would want to go out there. And Giorgio says some of these places, they're so hot. He went to Non Madal. He says, man, it is hot and muggy and humid, and it's horrible there. Which adds to the intrigue. Why would anybody want to build something there?
It's so true. I just got back from Egypt, and here's my takeaway.
Yeah.
All right. The oldest thing in the valley is Sherman Oaks Galleria. Okay, that's all we got. Right?
I thought you were talking about the Nile Valley.
That's all we got. We got Fast Times at Ridgemont High. We got Taft High School, right?
Yeah.
And
that's my alma mater, by the way.
So did my daughter. And
right.
Really, went to Taft. Okay. Speaking of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, right?
Yeah.
But you go to Egypt, and everything you look at is 5,000 years old.
Yeah.
It's a weird takeaway, man. It's you need to go once and cop that vibe.
Yeah.
You do.
How did they build it? How could they do that? And how come everything we find is older? We haven't hit the peak where it's like, I'm sorry, we've gone as far back in the past as we can. Like constantly finding something new that's old.
When Puma Punku, we brought this up so many times now, but and Giza, Mesopotamia, and everything, and then the gift of Göbekli Tepe, which is 7,000 years older than Giza.
Yeah.
which is already 5,000 years old.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane to me.
Yeah. Explain it. Why? That's my
How?
question. Why? How?
How? Um, I, but, I went to the Bent Pyramid. You go to in Saqqara.
Yeah.
And it's big. Okay, so the Great Pyramid, we all know about that,
Yeah.
right? We Khufu, Khafre,
Yeah.
Menkaure. But the Bent Pyramid, Robert, it's freaking ginormous. You're not expecting it, and you roll up in the Red Pyramid is a mile away. It's in the middle of the desert. And there's nothing there but sand dunes, and you look at this thing, and it's huge. So anyway.
Here,
You descend 300 feet down this tunnel. The tunnel's this big. You're on your stomach and you go backward. It's very claustrophobic. But this is all I thought about the whole time. Who built this in this heat? I'm here for an hour. Right? I've got ice water. I've got a cooler. I've got an air-conditioned bus.
Yeah.
I've got refreshments.
Yeah.
Who did this for 20 and 30 years in this heat, and why?
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a strange stat that Travis Taylor said on one of the shows, that the Great Pyramid, if you look at it latitude and longitude, it's the speed of light in meters per second.
That's right.
How is that possible?
Yeah, here's the other thing.
What?
Yeah,
What?
To like 8 digits.
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence, man.
Good luck getting your bathroom remodel on time.
No, and
these guys did that in the what?
Right. We didn't figure that out until 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But obviously, now we just blew past our commercial, but I want to stay in the flow here. That's fine. That's fine. I own this thing. Is Egypt, Giza just appeared, right? At 3000 BC, nothing. You've got animal skin wearing tribes in the desert.
Yeah.
They walk up, and then 100 years later, they built the Great Pyramid.
Yeah.
That I'm not buying what they're selling on this one.
There's nobody buried in it. There's nobody buried in it.
And I'm not saying it's aliens. I'm not saying that at all.
What's the purpose of it? Why?
Where'd the knowledge come from? There, and that you push it back to Göbekli Tepe, and then, in my best Robert Clotworthy, ancient alien theorists say that there must have.
Was that you or was that AI?
Yeah, right. I'm coming after you, Robert. I'm coming after you. Is there must have been civilizations to teach?
Yes.
Right? To teach and to share the knowledge.
It makes sense. You didn't just make it up there. The Egyptians don't know who built the Sphinx. They discovered it. Come on, there's and there shows like there's erosion, which means that there used to be in an area where there was a lot of rain. How many million years ago was that? Hundreds of thousands. Come on. I mean, I know the climate is changing, but really? Heavy rains in the Nile Valley? Okay.
No, but that's very true, because when going back to, say, the H blocks, right? Yeah. Because you've got Tiwanaku's right down the street, right? You can walk over to it and you can see the aging of things. And then you turn around and there's Pumapunku, which was first, which is older. And those H blocks look like they were carved yesterday.
Yeah.
That's a precision from a culture allegedly that didn't have a written language. They didn't have paper. They didn't have trees to make paper with, So how was this done? Somebody taught somebody how to do it, but nobody wants to think outside of the box and consider this.
I know in one of the shows that Giorgio and David, they brought an engineer, a guy who was a professor at UCLA, to show him non-modal. And he says, if you were to make this now, could you? He says, no, I couldn't It doesn't. The equipment doesn't exist to build this. I goes, I can see how it's done, but I can't tell you how to do it. We don't have the equipment to do it. So
Do you think that and then we will take a break. I do have to pay the bills.
okay.
Giorgio has emphasized both privately and publicly with me that he's never really, I think he's changing his tune on this though.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's go with the 4 year ago Giorgio.
Okay.
Not the Giorgio of today. He is he's a tweeting storm UFO disclosure guy today.
Yeah,
You've seen,
yeah. Oh yeah.
you
Oh
see
yeah.
what he's doing now.
Yeah, he's
But
all-
but the 4 year ago Giorgio, he says, Jimmy, I never ever said it was aliens. I never have,
Yeah.
but it's the knowledge,
Yeah.
was something shared. And I often wonder, do you think about that maybe ET wasn't here helping us move blocks around, but maybe they shared the math, they shared the astronomy, they shared the engineering, and they shared ideas.
how were they able to communicate? I mean, some of these, in China, even a few hundred years ago, you were in your village, you didn't know that anything existed, 100 miles away. How were they able to communicate all this information from Egypt to Pumapunku to Nanmadol or to China? How did all this communication take place? I mean, one thing I do think is I think that there have been numerous human, or for lack of a better term, human beings on the planet over these 5 billion years. I think, I'm trying to think who said it. Maybe it was Asimov or somebody that said any advanced civilization is doomed to destroy itself, only because that's what it is. That if an alien is coming here, maybe it's some kind of a robot kind of a thing. That's because that civilization is long gone. They've destroyed themselves. So maybe there's just been this turnover on the planet over these billions of years, and this somehow some of this information is a remnant of that prior culture, that prior human experience. Then the flood comes or whatever the heck is, we're all wiped out, we're gone. Then it starts up again. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's one of the reasons why we keep finding things older and older and older and older. They dig deeper and they go, oh, here's something that's, we thought that the Sumerians were as old as it could go, but now we're finding cultures that predate them. Wait a minute, what's going on?
Right after this is like a week after the Puma Punku episode came out, and I had watched that over and over again, and I'm with Michio Kaku.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so blown away by this Puma Punku thing. And I remember you saying, it's possible that it's 15,000 years old, and this stuff stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm with Michio.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, Kaku, I gotta talk to you about Puma Punku. What's that? I said, it's this place in Peru with these H blocks. And they go, okay, all right. I said, and it's possible that it's 15,000 years old. He goes, let me stop you right there. Right?
Yeah.
And I thought, Robert, seriously, that I love his books, and I've got the autographs that he has signed for me are wonderful. But when it came to that suggestion, that it's 15,000, he was like, no, before the Ice Age, nothing. No, there's no, but no, he stopped me in my tracks. And I think that's academia in general. They don't want to open that door.
Yeah. Yeah. They want, I guess they want to see some kind of, well, I want to say evidence, but it's not even that. It's, there is a mindset. It would challenge everything that they think they know. I mean, it would be a complete reset, and that can be threatening when you think about it.
Yeah, let's
take our Giorgio said everything we thought we knew, we were wrong.
Oh. That's right.
Oh shit! Now what?
That's right. And the whole notion of Mesopotamia,
Yeah.
ancient Sumer, and Giza being the cradle and the start of everything, that's fine. And it worked for a while.
Yeah.
Göbekli Tepe was not supposed to exist. It does, and it's there. It's carbon dated. That part of it, they still don't want to talk about Göbekli Tepe.
No.
And how many more Göbekli Tepes are there that are older than that, where we go deep into or past the last ice age? And that's going to happen.
Some of those questions may be answered next season on Ancient Aliens.
Robert Clotworthy is our guest. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Please visit all of our sponsors. We're taking a quick break here. All of the links are below. We'll be right back. Join us November 10th, 11th, and 12th, 2023 as Disclosure Fest Foundation and Fade to Black Radio presents Stairway to the Stars, a Human Origins Science and Technology Expo, live at the Luxor Hotel and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. With live talks, lectures, and workshops by world-acclaimed researchers and authors. This is Jimmy Church, by the way, and I'll be your host all weekend long, featuring topics like human origins, ancient technologies, indigenous teachings, workshops, a mass meditation, yoga and sound healing, music, and so much more. Don't miss our intimate sky watch and meteor shower over the infamous Area 51 airspace in Rachel, Nevada, with special surprise celebrity hosts guiding us through the night. Also introducing our Disclosure Fest VR Starship area with dozens of rides. You've got to check it out. This event will sell out. For more information and tickets, please visit disclosurefest.org. Hi, everybody. Jimmy Church here. Very special announcement, and that is we are shipping Fade to Black t-shirts again. It's been almost 2 years. We did a full upgrade to the website, so you can head over to jimmychurchradio.com. It's all simple to do, and it's right there. Remember, we broadcast 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday. We bring you the best, the brightest, the most knowledgeable and amazing guests, the best conversations. We do that 4 nights a week. We also do 4 days a week. We broadcast the news, and we do that live too as well. It's not a one-man show. I do it with website support. I do it with producers. I do it with writers and artists. All contribute to the show. The best way to help support what we do here is with the Fade to Black t-shirt. And you can get your Fade to Black t-shirt one of 2 ways. First, go to jimmychurchradio.com, order a shirt. It's really that simple. You're going to get a tracking number, it's going to get shipped, and it's going to get autographed. The second way to get a shirt is with a Game Changer membership. Now, the Game Changer membership not only includes a free t-shirt, but you get a private email to me. You get unlimited commercial-free downloads. You have full access to the website, and everything includes free shipping, and everything is autographed. So help support the show. Get your Fade to Black t-shirt today. The links are below. You can just go to jimmychurchradio.com, and it's right on the website. So there you go. I'm Jimmy Church, Fade to Black. I'm so excited that I just have one thing to say. Go back. Tepe.
Hey everybody, it's Billy Carson, also known as Forbidden Knowledge. I want to talk to you about a very special event coming up July 30th, 2023, the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We're going to honor people who have been contributing to the conscious community for decades. People that you know and love that have helped you get to higher levels of thought and consciousness and awareness. It's going to be a live in-person event, but seats are going to sell out very fast. You want to make sure you're there in person. And guess what? You can help vote for the winners. Voting is available on forbiddenknowledge.com. And the categories are going to be social media influencers, podcast/radio host, TV host, actor, director, producer, entrepreneurs, health and wellness, philanthropists, authors, field researchers, archaeologists, space anomaly hunters, and of course, a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'll be your keynote speaker that night at the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We have celebrity guests performing. We'll have a halftime show where we're actually going to perform music for you. And don't forget about the pre-event mixer, where if you buy a box seat, you'll be in the VIP section, and you also have private access to a VIP mixer with celebrity guests. Shake hands, break bread, network, and then walk the red carpet with us and take amazing photos. It's going to be a night to remember. You don't want to forget this. Make sure you hurry up and get your tickets because they're selling out very fast. I want to see you there. Forbidden Conscious Awards 2023.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, and I've got a blank screen in front of me. Wow, that's strange. Ooh. You know what that was? That was the click of a mouse. I was lost there for a second. I was thinking about the drop that you did right before the break, and what a gift that was, Robert. Let me. Hollywood is a strange place. You've been doing this for a long time, and checking out your IMDb page is intimidating, and I think I've got it going on. But here's the real deal.
Okay,
in Hollywood, it's tough to get lightning to strike once. It's the lottery. It is. As a matter of fact, go play the lottery. Your odds are much better, right? And now you've managed to do it 3 times. You've got Ancient Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
You've got The Curse of Oak Island.
Mm-hmm.
And now Skinwalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. Now you know how difficult and lucky you are, right?
Oh yeah. Kevin Burns definitely changed my life. I don't know if you ever had the opportunity of meeting Kevin.
I have.
But he actually, that was one of the things he loved to do. He loved changing people's lives for the better. He changed Giorgio's life. He brought Eric von Daniken back into the public eye. He even brought William Shatner, gave him another career. William Shatner is now hotter than ever. He had this amazing gift and drive. He understood what the public was interested in. He trusted his gut. He was brilliant. He was childlike. He was a leader. He was passionate, but he changed so many people's lives. So yeah, I owe a great debt of gratitude to him, to Prometheus, to Kim, and to Dave, and to Joe, who took over for him. And yeah, I have great appreciation. I understand how rare this is and how fortunate I am to be in this position. I don't take it lightly. When I go to these conventions and I meet with people, come on the show like this, I think of myself as an ambassador for the show. And it's important for the people that I talk with, the fans of the show, the people that are watching, to let them know how much we appreciate it, how much I appreciate it. And if I can give a little something back to them, put a smile on their face, or give them some kind of an experience, it's critically important. My uncle, who was, I talked about him briefly before, was an Olympic champion. in 1956 and won a gold medal, and he was very, very well known at the time. And I remember as a kid in the 60s, people would go up to him and ask him for autographs. And I asked him once, I said, "Why do you sign these autographs? Doesn't mean anything to you." He says, "No, but it means something to them." And so I've never forgotten that. I take it very, very seriously. If I'm gonna do this job, man, when I go out there, I'm gonna make sure that people, not only do they enjoy Ancient Aliens, I want them to have a personal connection to Ancient Aliens. And if that can come through me in some small way, then I'm kind of doing my job.
With Oak Island,
Mhm.
which just like everything else, way before that show ever hit the air, the people in our community, as a matter of fact, I mean, we've all researched Oak Island,
Mhm.
and back in the internet 1.0, and I'm talking about
Very beginning.
94,
Yeah.
like right in there. There no search engines kind of
Yeah.
thing. And you could count websites on like two hands.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, there was, and I find this Oak Island website, and it was like 4 pages. Yeah. And I was like, what is this Oak Island? That leads to Rennes Chateau, and that leads to this is before Dan Brown and all of that. But my fascination and interest in Oak Island goes back a long ways, and it was one of the first things I'd ever seen on the internet.
Yeah.
And here we are. I don't know how many seasons we're into this.
We're in our 11th
11.
season. Yeah.
Is it,
About to start 11th. Yeah.
what if you were a betting man? Is there going to be an ending? Would you go to Vegas? Would you go and hit a bookie with some cash on that?
I don't know anything that's happened in this new season. In fact, I spoke to one of the producers briefly today, and he just told me that they had finished the first hour of the premiere, which is going to be a 2-hour episode. So they were going to have a screening of it.
Mhm.
So I have no clue as to what they found, if anything. But I look at this, I'm not a betting person, first of all, so it's kind of a, I wouldn't bet on anything, on a flip of a coin. But it's a show. The show is, there's so much more than finding treasure. If that's what your life is all about, finding treasure, then you're going to miss the experiences. And how do you know whether you find the treasure? Maybe there's more treasure beyond that. This is a show about, as
The
Kevin would say,
journey.
searching for treasure.
Right.
It's
the
about,
journey.
and I've had people that have come up to me and say, "You know what, Robert, I hope they never find anything on that island." And the reason being is because I'm able to watch this show with my kids. I know nothing horrible is going to happen. I'm not going to have to shield their eyes. It's a safe place to go to watch a show, and I'm going to see people work out problems. I'm going to see how relationships are built. I'm seeing two brothers working together, setting budgets. My kids are learning stuff. When you talk about history on the show, and with Ancient Aliens as well, if we say something happened in 1705 on August 5th, it happened on August 5th, 1705. We're not making this stuff up. So the historical facts that we put in there are historical facts. So you can learn stuff. And who hasn't in their lives growing up wanted to find treasure? Isn't that that's if you find life on another planet, isn't that a treasure? We're curious
X
people
marks
to
the
seek,
spot. Yeah.
we and these guys are taking that treasure search, and they're on steroids, for lack of a better term, because they've got the funds, the ability to do it in a way that is on a huge scale. Do I want them to find something? Absolutely, man. I know that they're sincere. Rick, this is his passion. This is something they dreamed about since they were little kids. And now they're able to do it, and we're able to go on that journey with them. And it's fascinating. They do find a lot of interesting stuff, and a lot of it it's like Ancient Aliens. It's like you find an answer, and yet there's another question right behind that.
You know, you know what I've this is what I would do.
Yeah.
I've got the show figured out. This is what I would do.
Mhm.
It's a good thing I don't work for Prometheus because
I'd be out of a job.
well, no,
After one season, that'd be it. You'd be frustrated. We get 3 million people tuning in each and every week. We're doing something right.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy numbers. I would move the island.
Okay.
I would dig it up. I would take it bucket by bucket,
Okay.
and I'd move it over here.
Okay.
And I would dig the whole thing, dig the whole thing up, and run it through a sifter, and just move the island. You're going to get to something. That's what I would do. I would move the island.
I think that's a great idea. When I hear that, I'm thinking that would take some time, probably another 8 or 10 seasons worth to dig it up. I'm with you. All right, that's fantastic.
Yeah, plenty of work. There's but that's because they've almost done that.
Yeah.
The island is not big.
No.
It's very small.
Mhm.
And there's definitely something there. There's too much history. The history is rich.
Yeah.
Wow. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And now, in the time that we have left, and by the way, everybody, Robert is going to be with us in November at Stairway to the Stars. We're doing a very special Ancient Aliens panel. And when you and I were talking about this, Robert, it's so cool that because everybody's friends, we're all friends.
Yeah.
And for me to sit with you and Childress and who else do we have? We've got
Nick is going to be there. Jason Martell, Linda Moulton Howe,
William Henry. And so. I think I'm leaving somebody off, and I apologize for that. But the point is that we're all going to be able to sit down as friends and talk about the importance of the show and everybody's experiences. Do you feel? I want to talk about Skinwalker, but do you feel? I know I've said this to you before, but you're the fifth Beatle. And I've
Pete Best.
Yeah, you're the fifth Beatle.
Yeah.
And I've joked with Giorgio about this and Jason and things, but the show, I'm not sure if it would be the same without you. And it's do you feel that way? And I'm not trying to elevate or put your head in a different space. But you do are you aware? Are you cognizant of the contribution?
Yeah. I've had so many people that have who have mentioned that to me and told me how I've become part of their family. Told you the story about they fall asleep to listening to me. That they make fun of when I say the questions. I turn statements into questions and. Is it possible? And the could it be's? And I see the T-shirts that say ancient astronaut theorists say yes, that you can go into the history store and they have coffee mugs that say could it be on it. So, those words were those sentences were written, but I turned them into something where people kind of dig it. And when I watch the show, I listen to my voice and I think, yeah, it really kind of works well with what it is we're doing. So yeah, I do, and I really appreciate that. And the theorists, I think they kind of get they're tickled by it at a convention at AlienCon. Actually, the last one, Nick Pope and I were at I guess the dinner party after the convention was over, and he was trying to do his best Robert Clotworthy impression. I was going, is it possible? Could it be? It was really kind of cute and funny, and like you said, we are all really good friends. It's another amazing thing that Kevin was able to do. We all get along really well. These are all A personalities come on. I mean, if Linda Moulton Howe is on a panel, it's tough to get 2 words in because she just keeps talking. Without pausing. But everybody respects one another. Everybody's interested in what the other has to say, even if they disagree. So it's an amazing. It's not like the Beatles broke up because they had all kinds of internal problems. We don't have those problems at Ancient Aliens.
I've hosted so many panels with everybody. That's my gig, right? Okay, all right, that's fun. Yeah, they don't want me on the panel. I never get invited. No, they want me to host the panel.
Yeah.
And this was a few months ago, and we've got this packed house, and we're doing this thing, and Linda, right? And I turned to Linda. I'm introducing everybody, and I said, "Now, for all the panelists here, I'm going to have everybody relax because I'm going to put Linda on a timer." Oh, man. And she didn't laugh, by the way.
I'm sure she didn't. I'm sure she didn't.
The audience, it was 5 minutes of laughter, but it was really funny. It was a funny moment. Now,
I'm really excited about seeing her again because it's been a while, and she's one of my favorite people. So I'm excited.
I love her beyond words, and I think that we all do, and appreciate her. So, but now Skinwalker.
And by the way, this is going to be the first time I've actually been on a panel where people are going to ask me questions. Usually, I'm on the panel, but I'm there, but everybody's asking the other people. I introduce people, kind of keep it going. So I'm really excited about this. So thank you for inviting me.
Man, I just can't wait. I cannot wait. We're doing so many special things that weekend. I'm going to talk you into doing a couple of other things. So this isn't a free ride. Okay. All right. I'm going to take advantage of everything that I can. But Skinwalker.
Yeah.
Okay. So I put a gym in my house, right? Okay. Which is the Antichrist. And so for me, then I thought, man, I can't do this. I'm going to put in a flat screen, surround sound.
Yeah.
And that'll fix my problem. And maybe I'll want to enter the gym. Right. So I do that.
Yeah.
Day 1, I'm testing, and and it's season 1, episode 1 of Skinwalker Ranch, right? Comes on.
First thing you hear is me.
It's you. And I go, thank God. Thank God. And I was right there, man. And I just thought to myself, how does Robert, this is, there's a certain amount of luck, of course.
Yeah.
But it's about talent and being able to do this, and to hear you intro the show.
Yeah,
I'm now there. I'm in. I'm all in. But there's something going on up there. That Skinwalker man is starting to flip me out.
It's scary. I remember talking to I always call him Dr. Travis Taylor. Whenever I mention him in a show, they'll say Travis Taylor. I said, no, it's Dr. Travis Taylor. We got to give him the respect he deserves. And I'm sure you've spoken with Travis, know Travis a bit. He is the real deal. I mean, this guy, he's got not just one doctor. I think he's got 2 doctorates. When I saw him at Alien Con, he said he's working on another 1 or 2, and he's got a master's degree in this. That he's had experiments on the space shuttle. He truly is a rocket scientist. He's an A personality. He was like wasn't he like the Alabama state champion in Taekwondo or something? He's done all kinds of crazy things. And I was talking about this at this one Alien Con in Los Angeles, and they were about to go do Skinwalker Ranch. And I knew that he was going to have to be out in the middle of freaking nowhere in a trailer doing this stuff. And I said, Travis, why are you going out there and doing this? He said, well, because I'm a scientist. If they were to find a space flying saucer and it wasn't me that found it, I couldn't live with myself. So he is invested, man. He wants to find the answers. And when he sees something, he says, That's impossible. That defies the law of physics. There's only one thing that can do that, and that's gravity. You go, well, that's him. That's it. That's the truth. That's the reality, man. He's
That's a
very
really good
accessible.
Travis. That's a really good Travis, by the way. And I do a review of each episode with Christina Gomez each week. And what's today? Thursday. So I did it yesterday with her. We do it every week. And this is my comment about Travis. He obviously he's very smart, but he is relatable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, on a mass scale.
Yeah.
You know, he may not be for everybody, and people that want to think that they're really smart and they want to, okay, all right.
Come on.
I get that. But Travis is the guy you want over for your cookout.
Oh, heck yeah. To hang with him is so much fun.
He's a relatable guy.
Oh,
People get it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And one of the producers, he and his wife of Prometheus just moved to Huntsville. Part of the reason was because that's where Travis is. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so what do you is it Skinwalker, the location geographically, or I'm kind of leaning on, we can talk about ley lines, we could talk about indigenous cultures, we could talk about spirits and energies and this and that, and Travis is about wormholes, and I get all of that. I think there's something. I think there's a craft under that mesa. I think the mesa.
That's why he's there. That's why he's there. He's convinced there's something there.
Yeah. What do you think?
Who am I to disagree with Dr. Travis Taylor? I think he is really Indiana Jones. I mean, that's who he is, man. He is. He's got the brain power. He's got the physicality. He's got courage. This guy has courage, and he's got commitment, and he is determined. I watched an episode of it the other night, and I thought, geez, somebody just give Travis a back rub or something. He needs to he seems so amped. But it's just that he is passionate about what it is that he does.
There is always something going on.
Always.
And when it's everything all at once.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? It's just like you have to just step back and go, okay, all right. I know it's TV. I know it's entertainment. I know you're selling commercial time. I know that this is a business. I know. But there is something going on at Skinwalker Ranch, man. Yeah. I think they're very close to finding out something very significant, and I hope that they do.
None of these shows that we do, none of it is processed. I mean, we're not, pretending that there are things there that aren't. We're not making things happen. What happens there, whether it's Ancient Aliens, Curse of Oak Island, Skinwalker Ranch, those are real events. You can't script that. You can't plan that. It's just that happens when you're there, and and the moment is captured on film. That's it. It's real. It's not fake.
If I was a betting man, this is where I would put my money on Skinwalker Ranch. I think that a craft was parked there. And I'm going to throw a number out, but it's a realistic number.
Okay.
200 million years ago.
I like that.
And that mesa, that's 200 million years of blowing sand and storms and rain. And that's what you see now. But if I was
it was probably underwater at some point too.
I'm telling you that, yes. And if there's too much, the GPS stuff, right? That's funky. This quarter of a second time shift anomaly, that is like starting to really freak me out. That doesn't make you as a narrator,
Yeah.
and you're reading these words. It's your words, right? Okay. And you're reading these words, and you say something as crazy as GPS doesn't work there, and it's putting stuff, 1,000 feet underground. Well, if GPS was that messed up, it wouldn't work in Tokyo. We wouldn't have aircraft flying in the air. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to drive your car. Imagine driving down the road
Yeah.
and being told to turn into a lake.
Turn down, go down,
down,
500 feet into the earth.
Yes. And that's what's going on there.
Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing Travis again, just to see how he's enjoying it, because I know he's excited. I don't know how he finds the time to do all this stuff either. Plus he's doing Alien Con lives. Plus he's doing Skinwalker Ranch live.
Yep.
And working on advanced degrees. Come on.
Yeah. And the shooting schedule, I'm not asking for secrets. I think this is a pretty obvious thing. But is the research up there ongoing all year, every day? The season is the season. Yeah. I mean, like right now, season's in the can, right? We're at episode 11. And so we've got 3 more episodes left. But is there a production crew up there right now? Or is the research like happening as you and I speak?
I have no idea. I mean, I know that there has to be a certain amount of planning that's set prior to going out there. You don't just bring your cameras and hope for the best. You've got to have some kind of a plan on when you're going there. What are the experiments you're going to do? What kind of stuff are you going to attempt to discover? There is a I guess it's not scripted, but there is some kind of an organized plan as to what's going to happen. And it's for all the shows. They have topics, Ancient Aliens, they discuss their topics. Curse of Oak Island would be similar to Skinwalker Ranch, where the guys have a plan as to what they're going to try to do this year. And the film crew follows that. I'm sure with Travis, he gets together with the other people on the show, and they decide this is what we want to try to accomplish this season. And they've got however many weeks it is to be up there, and the money is spent and the crew is there, and they try their stuff. I don't know whether people are up there 24/7, 365 days a year trying experiments. I don't know.
Well, okay, so this season's in the can, right?
Mm-hmm.
14 episodes already done. So you're going to tell me right now, do they drill on the top of the mesa? Is that season 14? Do they crack the dome of the spaceship in the season finale? Come on, Robert. Come on.
Oh, Jimmy, you're putting me on the spot here because you're so close, but I want to say, but I can't. That darn NDA that comes in the way.
Skinwalker theorists say.
No, listen, I joke. I mean, they keep me in the dark on all these shows. I don't know anything that's going on. They just basically. My joke is, I'll say I'm locked in a cage, and they just every once in a while toss in a script and some stale bread and some water and a microphone and just have me go at it.
Well, okay.
And I also don't want to know. I really prefer not knowing because it makes it so much more exciting for me. I'm a fan of these shows. I don't want to know.
No, now you're making stuff up.
No,
okay.
No. It's true.
But during the pandemic, you're at your home now. It's obviously a very nice studio. You've got bass traps in the background. I wish you could see my place too here as well. You can see the soundboard behind me. I love a nice studio.
Would it be terrible to say if you show me yours, I'll show you mine?
I know. My microphone is bigger than yours.
I don't know. Well,
here.
But it's what I do with my mic that matters.
So here, check this out.
Okay.
So
Oh,
That's
look at this.
okay.
Oh, yeah,
So
look at
it
all these guitars.
comes
Yeah,
around.
okay. Oh,
There's my
yeah.
ceiling. See,
Oh, yeah,
soundproof.
okay. All right. Yeah.
Everything is
Oh,
those are all
yeah. Okay. Oh,
soundboard.
you got the light. Oh, man. You see?
More guitars over
See?
there.
Okay. There you yeah. 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 I've got
So
what do I got? What do I got? I don't got anything not close to that. I mean, I've got like there's stuff on the windows and I don't know. There's the microphone. Say, okay, that's enough. No,
I love that U87.
it's
But
nice.
so, how much work do you do from home? Because you remember the ISDN lines, and
I
that technology.
I
Do you?
had I still have a Telesepher here, but and the ISDN, I don't know how I got many, many years ago, probably 8 years ago, I had moved here and I needed to have an ISDN line. And they scheduled people don't know what that is. It's a special dedicated phone line for doing voiceover. And they're very expensive to have.
Very expensive. It's an unbroken. Okay, so with the internet, it's packet switching.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what goes out. But an ISDN line is a dedicated line.
Yeah, it never breaks. It was old
Never
technology, but it always worked. And
Right.
I moved in here and I said, "Okay, I need to put in the ISDN line." They said, "Okay, it'll cost you an X number of dollars to do it in whatever it is per month." And I waited around the entire day. And there's only like one guy that could do it. And there's like a special phone number you have to call. If you called, AT&T and said ISDN, they wouldn't know what you're talking about. So I waited around the entire day. They never showed up. And called up and said, "Yeah, he got stuck on another job, blah, blah, blah." And I said very innocently, I said, "Well, I waited here the entire day for him. If he comes tomorrow, can he give me a break on the installation since I had to wait the entire day?" And they said, "Yeah, no worries." So instead of charging me the $300, whatever they were going to do, they didn't charge me for that. But for some reason, they never charged me monthly for it. So for years, I had free ISDN. Now of course nobody ever uses it anymore, but I'm sure it's still the line is still active. You can dial the phone number and it'll still ring. It's
You are the
crazy.
luckiest man
Yeah,
alive.
well, I was very fortunate. Yeah, I was lucky. But yeah, when you ask how much work I do out of the studio for the shows, usually it's just pickups. If they're, like yesterday, I think I did something. They just needed a paragraph on Ancient Aliens. Takes 10 minutes to do, so I did that. But normally I like to go into the studio. I like to be with people. I like to see the engineer. I like to see Max, the writer and the director of the show. It just seems like it just is better when you're with people. You can play off one another. We can joke around a bit, and get I just have always liked that. Maybe that's old school. I can certainly do it in a heartbeat, but from home. But I prefer going into the studio to do it.
Do you ever go off script?
with Ancient Aliens and just start vamping on some strange theory that I have. No. What I will do, that's funny you should say that, because I call myself, this is a little inside joke that I say for all these shows. I call myself the last line of defense, because if I say it and it's recorded, it's out there. So if I see something in the script that doesn't make sense to me, or I go, "You know what? I don't think this is right." We will go and we will do our research, and sometimes I'm very correct. I remember I did an episode of America's Book of Secrets. I was doing a bunch of those, and it was one of those things where the network wanted to redo it, and the guy that originally did it wasn't available. So Kevin said, "Robert, why don't you do these shows?" And we did an episode, and it had to deal with the Osama bin Laden and the SEAL team that went and killed him. And it in the dialogue said, well, they got into these Chinooks and they stopped at a Air Force base in Pakistan. I went, whoa, time out. I said, first of all, a Chinook is like this huge helicopter. No, they didn't fly those things. Those things are really loud. They had these stealth helicopters, and there's no air base in Pakistan. That was the whole thing, was that we had to be top secret. You had to go in, and they went, really? And they looked it up and realized, oh yeah, you're correct. So we had to change the dialogue or change the script that was written because the information was incorrect. So I'll make little things like that if I don't think something is correct, and we'll have to research it and but
How
as
long
far as a full on rewrite, no.
Right. So if I'm doing coast to coast, it's 4 hours. It's live.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours of dialogue. Fade to Black, 3 hours. 3 hours of dialogue. It's a 2 hour. Tonight's 2 hours. 2 hours of dialogue. Ancient Aliens. It's a 1 hour show.
Mm-hmm. How
long in the studio?
To do a 1 hour show? Okay, we usually book it from 10 to 12. I show up at 10, of course. We end up kind of just hang out and talk for about 15, 20 minutes. Go into the studio, knock it out, and we're through by 11:15. So it takes an hour to do it. We work pretty quickly on that show. Curse of Oak Island takes a bit more time. I don't know why this is, but an Ancient Alien script maybe 30 or 40 pages. Curse of Oak Island is like 75 pages. It makes no sense. It's still an hour show, but that's the way that it is. So for Ancient Aliens, and since I'm really good about getting the words off of the page, I don't need to kind of like run it like a dozen times before I figure it out and then do it. The way I work, since I am good about getting words off the page, and it's a skill that I learned when I was a little kid because I loved reading out loud, and I loved reading books out loud that I had never read before. Just trying to figure out if I could make sense of a story without knowing where that story's going, not knowing whether there's an exclamation point or a question mark at the end of a sentence, have no idea, but see if I could do it. One eye's going here, the other eye's here. So it's a skill that I have. What that helps me do is when I get that script and I see that information, I'll read the paragraph that say I'm going to do on that page, just to make sure I understand all the words, make sure that there's not some pronunciation thing that's weird that I need to kind of figure out how to say it. Once I got that, then I got the words, then I'll generally do 2 takes. And every once in a while, maybe there's a third take if something goes wrong or if I have another idea. But that's generally how quickly we work. And part of the reason for that is because I want the information that I'm taking in to affect me. So if I read, for example, like that the Great Pyramid of Giza is at latitude and longitude is the speed of light in meters per second, that blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that I can say that without having that influence the way I'm going to say it, because that information to me is pretty amazing. Now, it's not like I go, this is amazing. I don't go to that regard. It's just that you can tell that it's in there. The microphone, I say it's a great bullshit detector. Mm-hmm. It picks up the truth. So as long as I'm truthful with what it is I'm saying, and even if that truth is I'm amazed or I'm depressed or I'm sad or I'm shocked, whatever it might be, or I'm intrigued, I'm curious, that translates into the read. And I think that's part of why the audience is able to kind of connect with me, because I am connecting with them. It's not packaged. When I go into the studio, I treat it as if this is the first time I'm going in there. It's that exciting. I'm that amped. I'm that ready. I'm giving it everything I've got. I don't just kind of phone it in ever. It's I'm present. I'm there. I'm doing it. I'm excited about it. If I wasn't watching the show, I'd be a fan of the show. So there.
Do you? This is like a yes or no question.
Yeah.
We don't have to. But for me, do you do exercises?
I mean, like vocal exercises? Yeah. I'm not a lot, because every once in a while, I'll do tip of the tongue, teeth of the lips, that kind of a thing. If there is if there's a word or something that I'm stumbling on, I learned a great trick on how to learn quickly. If you're reading something and you make a mistake, don't burn through the mistake and just kind of finish the rest of the sentence. Stop, go back, and go through it. If you make the same mistake, go back to the beginning, work through it. Once you work through it, then you've got it. Now, if there is a tongue twister, it's like a I don't know, but it's like a, let's say a Chinese name or something that's just not something I would normally say. I will work my muscle memory. I'll say that a lot. It's Chung Hao, 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 Chung Hao. So when I come to it, I'll be able to say it. Or it's Machu Picchu. I'll say Machu Picchu, Machu Picchu, Machu Picchu. Because otherwise, you're kind of, as you're reading it, you're getting ready to say the word Machu Picchu, so it takes you out of the sentence, and now you're kind of ahead of it because you don't want to make a mistake on Machu Picchu. I want to get there so that it sounds like I've said it a million times before. I'm very comfortable with it, and it seems completely natural. So that's some of the vocal exercise that I will do.
Yeah, that's you know what I do? You know what my secret is? I take the words out. I take them out, man. And it's so funny. I have
it's too hard to say. Get rid of it.
I know. It's Machu Picchu. No, I'll replace that with a place in Peru. Is easy.
Okay.
But
you like Gobekli Tepe? I like that.
Hey. But and there's most of the stuff that I do is live.
Yeah.
So I don't have the comfort of an overdub or retake or take. I got to do this stuff live.
Yeah.
And what I find is, and I have a producer that's been with me for 10 years. Her name is Renee.
Uh-huh.
And I do the news every day, and I do the show, and I get the email from her the next day. This is how you say it. Do the thing. Go to and this is how it. And I appreciate her listening.
Yeah.
Right. But it has forced me to. I remove words.
Yeah.
I will remove words. If I need to put the word was in or outside instead of, I don't know, existential or whatever, I'll pull it out and put it because I'm live, and I just don't have that comfort. And she busts my chops every single day. And when Robert, like right now I'm talking about her, I'll get the email. I'm sorry. I did.
Oh, by the way, thank you, Renee.
I need that. I need that from her. You cannot relax with this. You cannot relax. Enunciation and pronunciation and exercises. People think that you and I, and this is not a joke. I'm not Robert Clotworthy, but I do talk. I play you every night. People think that you and I just go in and. Right? No, it's not that kind of party. It's a lot of work behind the scenes.
It's got to appear effortless when you're doing it, but you have to put in a lot of time and effort and work to get to that point of where it is effortless. I mean, when right now you and I are not thinking about all the the enunciation that it's there because we put in the time and the effort and work. People think that it's easy, and or as actors, a lot of actors thinks it's also it's also important, it's so challenging, it's so difficult. But I say, you know what? If you go to a doctor, do you want to go to a doctor? And plus, it's fun what we're doing. Do you want to go to a doctor if you say, listen, I need to have my appendix out? And they're going, oh God, the appendix. Oh, it's like, it's really because it's right there and I got to cut. And it's like, oh, you don't want that person. You want the doctor that says, oh man, I love taking appendixes out. It's so much fun. It's great. So you go in there, you cut that's the person you want. That's comfortable, that's relaxed, but they put in all the work to get to there. So now for you and I having a conversation like this, it is effortless only because we put in the work to get to where we can do that.
Mm-hmm. I want to thank you for everything, man. And we've been friends for a long time, but just thank you and keep doing what you're doing. And by the way, Robert has applied for my online Zoom narration class, and I hope that you graduate.
I'm fingers crossed. It's you're a very, very tough teacher.
Yeah, I know.
I'm working on those exercises that you told me. I'm saying Machu Picchu, 30 times a day just to kind of get it ready.
We approved a scholarship program for you, by the way, too, as well.
Okay.
So yeah, you got.
I'm a little bit confused. I'm a little bit confused why you want me to say Jimmy Church is great all the time. I don't understand that, but I'm trusting you.
Man, my ISDN is down. I need you to do that again. Robert, thank you so much, my friend. And I can't wait for November.
Oh, it's gonna be off the charts good, man. Everybody, get a ticket, go there, come to Vegas, be a part of this. It is going to be so exciting and so much fun. And man, you're going to see something super, super special.
And Robert will do your voicemail for you. I'll talk to you, brother. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you, Robert.
All right, Jimmy. Thank you.
Behave. Thank you. Robert Clotworthy. Now, it's very simple. RobertClotworthy.com, and you can also chase him down there on Facebook. The links are below over on our website and throughout social media. And for me, that wraps another week of Fade to Black. I head in. Tonight is my Friday. So I am going to go. I'm going to binge Curse of Oak Island and fall asleep to Robert Clotworthy tonight. Everybody have a great, safe, fun, and amazing weekend. I will see you on Monday. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Very special thanks to Dennis and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldridge. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2023 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you, Robert Clotworthy. I'll see everybody on Monday. Be safe. Go back, Lee Tappy.